The world turns, and with each turn, a change. And each change makes it more complex, unpredictable, enigmatic. The world keeps turning. And from the Pellicer and Heredia practice, we anticipate everything that is going to happen. Brexit, artificial intelligence, new commercial borders, legal tech. The world keeps turning, and it commands the reliance on international lawyers who are capable of interpreting this new reality with integrity, honesty, and transparency, offering answers to so many new questions. Whatever it is, ask us. At Pellicer and Heredia, we know how.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today on our last webinar before going on holidays in August here in Spain. I'm going to talk today about an important topic about renting your property in Spain. Let me introduce you who are on the panel. On my left-hand side, we have Pedro Heredia. Hello, Pedro. Can you hear me?
Hello, Ignacio. I can hear you very well. Hello, everyone.
Then we have, on the other side, we have Maria. She's from the property management side. Hello, Maria.
Hello, everyone. Pedro and Ignacio, thanks you for having me tonight. My pleasure.
Right. Thank you. And we have, well, Michael couldn't make it this time. He will join us in September. We're having here Carmen and Guillermo, who are from the Department of the Tax Department and Immigration and Touristic License. Today, we're going to talk about how to rent a property in Spain and the importance of renting, how to manage that property, what are the tax implications, how do you get a license, a touristic license, could you rent it out for short term, can you rent it out for long term, what are the difference, what are the applicable laws. Either you're a tenant or you're a landlord, please feel free to go into our chat now and send us questions. If we have the time, definitely we're going to answer to you, or we'll try to do our best to answer to them. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Pedro so he could explain to us what is a touristic apartment and a license for it, and all the tax implications and legal needs. Over to you, Pedro.
Okay, Ignacio, thank you very much. Obviously, we're talking about a topic that is quite important right now for clients that want to invest in properties that they want to rent, or obviously it's a decision that needs to be taken, and obviously needs to be taken into the what kind of a strategy. Are they going to rent it for long term? They're going to rent it for short term, or maybe just with this kind of platforms at Airbnb, we will talk about that, in order to distribute the property and to get more income. Obviously, as you said, long term and short term are obviously different. Long term is going to, I think Ignacio is going to explain a little bit more of this. It's going to be like a property it will be a permanent home. Short term, we call it in Spanish temporada, because obviously before this touristic situation about touristic licenses and now it's compulsory to have it, obviously we had before the temporary contracts, like someone who comes to a vacational area, or someone who wants to rent in a short period of time, or a student that wants to rent in an area or a town that is a university, for example. So that is a short term really, and do not belong on the concept of permanent house. But what it is considered to be like a tourist or holiday rental is that kind of rental which is carried out by accommodation that has some requirements as touristic homes, and has a touristic use. I mean, in this case, we'll not be able to do it like a way of students, or like a way of different issues, except this kind of a touristic use. The origin of this regulation, we have it in our, we have a Ley de Arrendamientos Urbanos. In that law, where appears a concept of long-term, short-term, also appears the concept of touristic. I will try to read it literally. Let me just find it. Okay, right here. It says it's a temporary use of entirety of a furnished and equipped property in conditions of immediate use. Okay, let's stop here. Needs to be prepared to have immediate use, and it obviously is temporary and fully furnished and entirely property. You cannot do like a room, for example, just a room and not do it for the rest of the property. And then keeps going the definitions are this market or promoted in touristic offer channels or by other means of commercialization. We're talking about, let's say, Rentalia or Booking or Airbnb. So it needs to be done in a distribution or commercialization, like say, platforms, and obviously carried out with a lucrative purpose. Obviously, you receive some price of that, and subject to a specific regime. We will probably get into that in a few minutes, and with some touristic regulations. So in this case, is what can we get from what is the difference between a vacational or touristic apartment, which one of has a short term, for example, obviously do not have anything to compare with the long term. First of all, is the commercialization of the rentals will be carried out by specialized channels. Could be like Rentalia, as I said, Booking, or probably the most common one is Airbnb. And the additional services that can be implemented, like say cleaning, let's say laundry. I will be describing a little bit about, because this has a lot of implication on taxes in these cases. And then, as an immediate use, as I said before, I mean, that is important, that it has to be done immediate use. And we have different rules from town halls, from regional and community, obviously, that there are some rules that informs when is a touristic apartment or no. But these are the general rules. Obviously, the season to be rented normally is from 1 to 2 nights, maximum to 1 month. There are some other regional territories in Spain that increase this. So the difference between touristic properties and short-term, it goes to 1 month, that's the limit, to vacational, touristic, and then if short-term from there, or maybe 2 months. But the concept is you use it, you distribute it, you commercialize it, you're a landlord, or you use it as a tourist purposes. Okay, as a tourist, and this is the description that the tax office makes when tax office is going to be considered that you are acting, or you are declaring, or you are submitting a declaration as an apartamento turístico, as a tourist apartment, or as a tourist property. First thing is a cleaning of the flat on arrival and on departure for a period contracted by each tenant. Obviously, this has a difference if you compare this with a hotel industry, which has like a periodic cleaning of a property, like everyday cleaning. So in this case, a touristic apartment is just when you arrive and also when you depart. Also, the change of I don't know how to mention it, is the Ignacio, maybe you can help me with the change of a beds, like I think it's the lining in the flat.
Yeah, the lining, yeah.
Lining, that's right. The arrival and departure of a period contracted by each tenant. Maybe you can say, well, I'm going to be like 1.5 weeks, maybe in the middle of that you can, but it's not periodic, it's not every day. And cleaning of, like, for example, communal areas of the building, as well as urbanization. Obviously, there is also has some let's say implications on that. And also, obviously, as you as a landlord or as a tenant, if you rent this kind of apartment, you will have a technical like assistant or maintenance. Let's say the plumbing, electricity, or some happens during the week, during these days, logs or any electric appliances. Right now in the touristic apartments are getting more common. And obviously, this has a difference because many clients that we have say, "Oh, I want to buy a property. It's a new property. It has a value attached, and this in this region is 10% value attached, which could be a lot of money. I want this to be back into my pocket by tax office, and I want to compensate that into the rentals I have." Well, I have to say that has a lot of let's say corners, but to put the property into an activity, an economic activity, as I said before, has to have a periodic cleaning of a property and accommodation. It has to have a periodic change of like bed and bath linen. And the provision of a service to the client needs to be done like very good, like food, like catering, like laundry, luggage store, reservations. I mean, this has to be like, it's very, very similar like a hotel. Then you will be able to include that and be updated in the tax office as a economic activity, and you will get back refunded value at tax when you bought, if you buy property, a new property, and then you will be able to compensate obviously and get your invoices with obviously with value at tax that you have to get paid also. Okay. Also, I mean, obviously, if you have a full-time employee, obviously there will be for sure economic activity. So we have a concept of touristic apartments. We know what tax office says about touristic apartments and what are the taxes in general to be paid. If you are resident in Spain, obviously you will be paying accordingly to the income. I mean, accordingly to the rental percentages are included in this kind of rendimiento, okay, which you will be paying in that cases. If you are non-resident, which is normally what we have a lot of clients are non-residents that have invested in properties and get benefits on this kind of rentals, it is as non-resident or European non-resident is 19%, you will be able to deduct costs. You will get an income and deduct costs. And from there will be 19%. If you are non-European Union citizen, that has a big change because will be from the gross amount that you get, income will be 24% and 24% from the gross amount. You will not have the right at this time to deduct, which we consider is not correct, and is being claimed and is been some allegations on the court, and this has to go to the European Union court in order to consider equally European Union citizens and non-European Union citizens in order to be covered with the same percentage, or even though to be able to deduct the costs on the rental. We will see that in the future. What else? I think
Pedro, is it possible for you to talk about very briefly how to apply for a touristic license?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Touristic license. Okay. Well, which is the necessary documentation once you have a property or you already own it. To own a property, obviously you have to complete. You have to have a deed, a property deed, which is a notary deed. When you complete and pay all the full amount, cannot be with a private contract, for example. Okay, when you buy a property, it's compulsory. It's important that you, with your lawyer, you insist on having a license of occupations. This is one of the requirements in order to attach on the file in order to apply for touristic license. License of habitation or license of occupation. And then when you buy a property, also there is compulsory for the seller, normally it's for the seller, to bring a certification of efficiency energy. It's like CEE, which is energy certificate. Then obviously the purchase deed, a copy of the purchase deed, and a copy of your passport. If it's one owner, a copy of your passport. If it's different owners, all of the passports that owns. And the difference on this is that when you apply for a license, it's not just, we have to divide this into two phases. The first phase is that you apply for a informe de compatibilidad urbanística, which is urbanistic compatibility, and has a small tax to be paid, and it takes around 1 month to be issued by the town hall. So you apply this into the town hall. Town hall gives you the urbanistic compatibility certification. That it means that that property that you're applying for, touristic license, is updated into the planning rules in order to use it as a touristic use, in this case. And once you get that, will be taking around a month. Once you have that, which means that they permit you to do it in that way, then you apply for your request that you submit in order to get the license of a touristic apartment, which will take between 3 and 4 months. Also, you need to attach like some measures over an emergency maps. This will be done by an architect, by a surveyor, which we have to go to your property and make some like measurements and or the measure probably is received by the builder when if you buy a new property. And what else, if I may forget, with the license, whenever you make the license, obviously it do not have any tax in this case. You have to inform about the capacity and bedrooms, how many bedrooms, I mean, the description of the property, obviously, even though it's on the deed. You do not have to renovate it unless you make some changes into the property. What else? You have to inform the police of the personal details and copy of the passports of who are the guests on that property, the adult guests. Okay, and you have to have available complaints forms. Obviously, in our firm we have some of them, and probably it would be easy to find them into internet. And important, you have to have civil responsibility or liability insurance. This is, I think, it's highly important. Obviously, it needs to cover if you do this kind of activity as a renting it into a touristic license, because we have been dealing with some insurance companies and they say, well, the house insurance do not cover, or they cover, or you need to have 2 of them, one just for a specific purpose, which is this one, and the other one just for house insurance as a normal one. So be sure that if you are going to enter on this kind of activity, the house insurance you have, it covers this kind of activity. What else I think is obviously what we do in our law firm, Ignacio, as you know, is we apply for the clients to have a digital certification. Where we type all the documents and we apply like electronically from our computer. You don't have to go to any queue anywhere to submit it personally. Okay, and obviously, if you are not resident, and obviously you need to declare your income every 3 months. And you have to obviously to pay accordingly those income. If you are European Union, I repeat, income minus costs. If you are an European Union citizen, non-resident, non-resident, then it will be 24% in that case of the income. What else I think is probably enough with this, Ignacio, about in order to apply for a music license.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. What we're going to do, if you could start running through the questions that you are getting now. I'm going to just pass over now talking about the 3 types of contracts that everybody that are listening might be willing to do. If you buy a property, as Pedro stated, as an investment, and you're willing to rent it out, you will think what kind of business you're going to do. Are you going to do like Pedro just explained, like a temporary license, a touristic license, doing your income tax return as a resident, as a non-resident, complying with that? Then you have the option to rent it out, what is called the short term. The touristic license applies with a special regime, which is what Pedro explained, and is limited to that regime and out of the Tenancy Act. If we're talking about the other 2 types of contracts that you might have, it will be the short terms, which will be if they're staying more than a month and they are willing to use this property for the use, not of holidays, as like a second holiday home, or you have the option to organize a contract for long-term rentals. The type of rights and obligations will be different, okay? So it's important you as a landlord to know what are the 3 models of business you are willing to join and do, right? On one hand, Pedro already explained what is a touristic apartment. Second hand, you've got the option to do only temporary, so from 1 month up to 11 months. You will provide a rental contract and you will agree in the rental contract what they're paying and what you are paying. This is a special regime as well with the limitations, which you have more freedom of agreeing whatever you would like to agree as a clause, as a penalty clause, etc. Because the purpose of it is not to live permanent. Okay, so that's very important for you to make very clear. And the number 3 option you have is renting your property as a permanent property. And therefore, you as a resident, you're going to be able and entitled to enjoy big reductions on taxes. So far, we've been enjoying 60% of the net figure of your income is tax-free. So you will be only taxed on 40% of the net figure that you are declaring as a resident in Spain, which is very beneficial and very good. Then this law has changed for next year, so we are having some modifications depending on complying certain characteristics and features. Okay, so you'll have a better reduction in the future with the new law if you comply with different laws and requirements. For example, if you're renting it out in an area what the state is considering very busy area, you might even get 90% discount on that. So you will not be taxed on that, but the price needs to be controlled and limited. Okay, so we could talk this in the future, how it's going to work out, but that's only for people who are interested to do long-term rentals. For the short-term rentals and the touristic apartment is going to be taxed on your main income tax return, either as a resident or as a non-resident. Pedro already explained as a non-resident how to do. As a resident, you always have April, May, and June to submit it. Right, and then we're going to just try to answer some questions because some of you might have questions whether declaring it here or declaring it in Poland, declaring it in a different country, etc., etc. You will have to have a look to the dual taxation treaty between Spain and different countries, but definitely you will have to declare it in Spain, that income, when you do your income tax return. Okay. Now, the type of contracts will be completely different, the short term and the long term. And the rights, for example, in the long-term rentals, the tenant has a better right and the obligations will be limited in the Tenancy Act of 1994, okay, which is called LAU, Ley de Arrendamientos Urbanos. Right, then I'm sure you will have questions about these 3 types of models. What is the best for you? And I always recommend you to discuss it with your lawyer to see what is best in your circumstances. For example, a lot of clients are even asking about selling in their home countries and reinvesting here. We always advise trying to do that as a non-resident while they are as a non-resident in Spain. Obviously, Pedro did already go through the difference so far we have with the taxation on the rental as a non-resident. Is not the same if you, landlord, are non-European, you are from a non-European country, and therefore the taxation will be, as Pedro stated, 24% based on the gross, which we consider that is not fair and is discriminatory, but we hardly believe that that will be removed eventually because some court cases have started about that. Okay, but we are just telling you as today how it works. Right, before we start with questions and answers, I'm going to pass over to Maria. So let's say we already invest a property in Spain. We have these 3 types of forms that we do business. And now probably you want to do it yourself. So you're doing the handing over of the keys, or you're just signing the contract for 9 months or for even 5 years, because as a long-term rental, the tenant is entitled to stay in the property with increased rent up to 5 years. So you need to know whether you have in your mind to go and use that property, whether that type of long rent property rental agreement is suitable for you, or you prefer to have a different type of business. We didn't talk about the squatters, Pedro, but probably later on you could just mention about it.
We have time, we're going to speak about later, yeah.
Right, but I'll just don't want to miss out now time saying Maria is one property management director here in Costa Blanca. Shia partners did set up the company, and their objective is to give service to specific landlords who are renting out properties. I think it's best for Maria to introduce herself and how they cope with it, just in case it could be of interest, how to run this type of business. Over to you, Maria.
Okay, hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Maria Neycheva, and I'm the Managing Director of Anima Property Management and an owner, along with two more partners. Our own experience as expats, tenants, and owners of property here on the Costa Blanca has given us the perfect opportunity to understand what someone's needs might be. Because it's true that it's not easy to move abroad, to go to another country. But when you have the support from, like, the legal support is very important, like you know. So at Anima, we provide 3 different types of services. We do short-term rental. We provide maintenance because we have many clients who don't want anybody to enter their home, but they want the house to be prepared for their return when they come for their holiday. And we also assist foreigners in search and purchase of a property here on the Costa Blanca. As today at the webinar, we talk about the short-term rental. I will emphasize more about how we work with the short-term rental. And the first thing we have to start with, the truth is that if someone wants to have the maximum profitability of their property, this is the short-term rental. But something very important that Pedro spoke about is this, that you cannot legally give your property for a short-term rental if you do not have a touristic license, or so-called licencia turística. So it's very important for people who are planning to invest and to buy a property here, if they have in mind to give their property for a short-term rental, this is very important to be sure that their home and property can obtain this license. Because for the long-term rental, you don't need this, but for the short-term, you cannot do it without this license. So this is always the first thing we talk with our clients, because some people contact us, they would like to manage their property, but at the end, they cannot obtain this license. So for us, this is number one. We always talk about this. The next thing, we sit and we talk with the client, and we really want to know what they are, what their preferences might be, how we work and everything. Our professional marketing team works to provide videos, pictures, and to make this small description of the property, so we can put the property on different like Booking, Airbnb, on different platforms that we work with. And then we start and do the maintenance. We are a full service company. We do the maintenance from start to finish. And what this means, once we have the key from your home, we are in charge of everything. What is everything? We start with the guest booking reservations. We do the maintenance. This is everything, like we have the cleaning, maintenance, gardening. We do in-person check-in and check-out, something that is very important, because first we would like to add this human touch to the service. We would like to greet the clients and to say welcome. Also, when we do the checkout, it's very important to see that everything is in good condition inside the house. And when I say everything, literally everything, we check the doors, the windows, like everything is in good condition, because sometimes you might have people inside your property that you might experience some problems with them. So we also have a concierge service, which is 24/7. This means that people are always, we're available for any questions, problems. Like you said, sometimes we experience some problems with electricity, or we have another issue. So we are always available to support and to help. And what else? Anybody who has any questions, I'm here to answer. And in the future, you can contact us if you would like. But that's it. And the other thing, we always provide the owners with legal support, which is very, very important. Okay. We are surrounded, yes. The legal support is very important. And any questions that an owner might have, we are here for them as well, because we know that owning a second home or a property is always a wonderful investment, but it's also a lot of hard work. And when you are not living here, somebody has to do this work, correct? So this is the main service that we provide at Anima. And now we have prepared the video for you. So Juan Fran, please, if you can play the video.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Maria. Very nice video. I have just, before we start with questions and answers, obviously, please send them over to us if you still didn't do it. Maria, do you normally work with the clients with exclusivity? I mean, is it your clients will sign a contract with you and deposit the trust?
Yes, of course.
And then you run it for a year. Is that how you work?
Yes, exactly. Yes, we sign a contract with the the landlord for a year, and we start managing the property. Like, we are in charge of absolutely everything. So the only thing, the owner gets its income every month, and the rest, it's on the company, on us, on Anima.
Okay. Perfect, Maria. You're having here some questions, but Pedro, would you like to start with questions that you consider relevant from the forum, and trying to answer most of them? Shall we start?
Okay, let me just check. I mean, in the chat.
I think we have the one from David. I don't know if you read it.
I think it starts with a question. It says, in a short-term situation, can you lock off a room, main bedroom, thus the whole property is not available? Is this okay? Well, in short period of short-term contracts, which is not in vacational, you cannot rent just a room. I mean, that's absolutely forbidden. But in short-term situations, short-term contracts, you could do it. I understand the question is to log off, to make some locks, and that's,
yeah,
I think it happens, this situation. I mean, obviously in the bedroom there's like different bedrooms, but okay. Then there's a question that we have as Polish, and I'm the owner of a flat in Spain, and the apartment is rented for a long term, so 1 year plus, probably every year. And there is an issue of paying income tax. So I was told that I have to pay in Poland, and in Poland I'm told that I should pay in Spain. So how is it? I mean, in the convention between Spain and different countries in the world, and it's included Poland, you always have to pay where the property is, and you will be paying here in Spain as non-resident, as I understand you are non-resident in Spain. And obviously that, according to the convention between Spain and Poland, you will be deducting whatever it was paid in Spain in case that you have to pay taxes in Poland. So at the end, you really declare income in Spain and Poland, you pay whatever should be paid in Spain according to the convention between Spain and Poland. And if it's something left, should be paid also in Poland, or I understand by the rules in Poland, you should also declare it in Poland, but obviously saying that you have already paid some taxes in Spain, so in order not to be charged double, in order to avoid double taxation. This is how it normally works in all the convention between Spain and different countries, are very similar with all of them. And I understand, I haven't checked at this time right now with the Poland, but we have a lot of Polish clients. I'm sure it's this way.
I think Guillermo is confirming here, Pedro, that the VAT will be paid here. I don't know if it was always where the property is. I think he just wrote it here as well.
Yeah, but
so
the question I understand is focused on the rent, on the income rental as a non-resident. That is what I understand.
Right. Okay.
So, what else?
Right. We have one from David. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
You can read it. You can read it.
Let me just check, because I'm getting, yeah.
I haven't
Right. If the problem, David has a question about the non-lucrative visa and renting out properties. I don't see any issue, because that's not considered as a job. Okay, so are you going to jeopardize the non-lucrative visa, David, because you're renting out properties? The answer is no. I don't see any issue whatsoever. And that income, it generates income, and it's good for you to prove that you have enough money, okay, as well. So I wouldn't see a problem. I think if you're saying, Ignacio, is it worth it for me to do self-employed autonomo? No, there is no need when you're renting out properties to become, to be autonomo and to pay social security. So it's basically, David, a matter of you doing, if you're a resident, which I think you are, declaring the income. So I need you to always have an Excel sheet of all your incomes, all the dates, because for the income tax return, we need to fill in the entry date and the exit date to make sure that how many days being rent out. Because if you didn't rent it out all the years, there is a percentage of days that you're going to pay tax on because you didn't rent it, okay, as an individual. So you need that, you need the income, you need all the expenses of the villa or the property, and from the net, as I explained to you, if it's touristic or short term, you don't have any bonification, any reduction. If it's long term, you'll have, so far is 60% off the net. So you only tax on the 40% of the net. But this law is going to change for next year. So we can discuss the next year because it's definitely going to change. Probably to you might not make a difference, but for some will be even better, or probably it will not even affect. Okay. Right, Pedro. I heard as well from someone that the question was, if I buy a property with a license and they sell that with a license, can that license be transferred onto me? The answer is yes. Okay. Hello? Pedro?
Sorry, I think I had my microphone closed. Yes. It's not a complex situation. It can be done that way. It can be changed, obviously, and you don't have to be applied again with the normal and circumstances or the normal requirements. It can be changed. And we do it. We have done it, obviously, in the past and electronically. We do that in order to submit it electronically. It takes some time in order to fill all the forms, but it can be done that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Someone, Ignacio, someone probably, I mean, you can explain better. I mean, it's a question that we have answered many, many times, and I think we should answer it again. Mm-hmm. Is can you explain the difference between being a resident and a fiscal resident? Or being a resident and a non-resident, or being a fiscal resident or non-resident? Let's explain that, because obviously may take some confusion, Ignacio.
Okay. Would you like me to start, or would you like to take it on?
Let's start.
Right. Okay. Well, being very brief and trying not to run out of time, for those who never came into our webinars, I mean, obviously feel free to join in a website, the live TV program. You have probably 80 or 90 webinars already talking about everything if you're running out of time. But basically, I would like to tell you that in a calendar year, if you're going to stay more than 183 days in Spain, you're considered to be tax resident in Spain. Obviously, after you've got your residency card and you inform the tax office that you are here more than 183 days, you will need to submit all your tax obligations like the 720 if you have assets abroad, the income tax return from April to June, and wealth tax, which I expect that it will be eliminated or probably put it in suspense. On hold, basically, for some years. That's what the government of this community has announced. By the way, don't forget, for those who are interested to talk about the inheritance tax, the law just changed. And in this community, we've got very good news as well, that all is being reduced for the family group, 99% of the tax you would have paid it before. So it's very good news. So Pedro, let's say you have your residency card, you're a resident, you did inform the country here. I always recommend, if you're from a different country, to inform your home country that you are a no tax code in the home country. If you're abroad, just make sure that you do things together. You are a tax resident in Spain and you inform them that you are a non-tax resident over there. Obviously, there are differences between each scenario, and we can help you with it eventually if you ever need to some assistance to do simulations about what is best for you. Pedro, what is next question?
Yeah, I mean, let me just put an example that when we explain that situation about resident and non-resident, imagine that someone right now, we are in July, starts being to apply for residency and get the residency in October. Let's say in the 15th of October has a positive resolution and a TI card. I mean, and is resident in Spain. Has authorization to be resident in Spain by any kind of visa or authorization to be resident. It doesn't matter. So this year, 2023, gets the residency and is resident in Spain as an immigration issue, as an immigration permission to be resident in Spain. But this year, 2023, from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, has not been living in Spain more than 180 days. So this year, from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, will not be resident for tax purposes. So will be non-resident for non-tax resident. So being resident in Spain, but not being tax resident in Spain this year, 2023. So this year, 2023, we have to be paying accordingly to the non-resident tax rules, even though it's a resident, which will change the following year, will change 2024. In 2024, will be resident, obviously, as an immigration issue, but also will be tax resident, and we have to pay and declare accordingly to the, as a resident, according to the normal and regular rules as a resident. Okay. We have.
Right. Where are you, Pedro? You answered probably. James is asking whether Maria, whether you are assist people on security in the license, or he's asking whether, I mean, obviously, James, any lawyer that is capable to do it will assist you, but I'm sure Maria could give support as well, or refer you to whoever they do on their behalf. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Our company provides full support to owners who would like to obtain this touristic license through lawyers, architects. So the answer is yes, we do.
Okay.
We do provide support.
And then we have different questions as well here.
Tamara, I have a question from Tamara. I think it's, he says, I was told it is not possible to get a tourist license when you have a non-lucrative visa. Are you 100% you can? Would you make a big difference between applying for a non-lucrative visa versus the golden visa? Well, non-lucrative visa is a visa which is forbidden to work. Renting a property in a vacational concept, or renting a property in a short term, renting a property in a long term, and getting some income is not work. So you can obviously, with a non-lucrative visa, rent a property in a tourist situation, or in a way that you are renting in a long term or short term. What you couldn't do, and this is not something that I could understand, is to promote an activity, economic activity, as if it were or should be as a hotel, as we were talking about before, getting these benefits on value tax, for example. But obviously you could. This is from, I think it's Tamara. Also, there's another question from, I think it's from the same person. If you are non-European Union citizen, you are resident in Spain, are you taxed at 19%? If you are non-resident, non-European resident, let me finish the question. Ignacio is a non-resident. Obviously, we said before, non-resident in Spain, and non-European Union citizen is 24%. I think that's the question.
But Pedro, there are, just in case, she's talking about a resident of a non-European country, correct?
Well, at the end, you are resident, so your regular basis as being resident in Spain.
Yeah, you're resident, but of a non-European, you are the nationality, you are from a non-European country, correct?
At the end, the rule changed once
Canadian, Pedro. She's Canadian.
Sorry to interrupt, but yes, she says she's Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah, once you are resident in Spain, obviously this changed.
Correct.
That's
if you're a tax resident in Spain, yeah, is equal to all of us.
That changes. If it's that, I cannot read it for some reason, but that is a general scale. I mean, general scale. You are resident, doesn't matter if you're Canadian, from Holland, from France, or doesn't really matter. The difference when you are non-resident, you are non-European non-resident in Spain, non-European Union, then change between 19%, 24%, you get it act or not. Okay?
Yeah. So for Tamara to understand, she's Canadian, she'll have a residency visa, so she'll be a resident, and she will do her taxes in Spain because she's resident in Spain. And obviously with the dual taxation between Canada and Spain, we'll report it in Canada, but she will pay the tax as every single Spaniard here in Spain. That's the answer. So there is no discrimination on the 24%. So it will be not 19, it will be whatever is your marginal rate. So if you have a lot of income you will pay a sliding scale. If you have a little, probably you don't even need to pay. But everybody who's got a property that is renting out, they must declare it in front of the tax office. Okay.
And exactly, we have obviously these cases that people comes here to Spain, being resident, have already properties in their home countries, which are rented on the long term. Also, this has obviously the benefits also according to the Spanish tax rules, which at this time right now, for example, long term is 60%. I think next year is going to change. It has some changes. But obviously, when you become resident, you at the end you enter in a absolutely different situation.
Pedro, Jane is asking if you could just very briefly talk a little bit about squatters and how to get them out of your property. If you could do it in 2 minutes or 1 minute.
Okay, I have already linked obviously this article that I prepared some weeks or probably months ago about the squat. So obviously the squat is a phenomenon that for some reason is advertised in a way that it's threatening people in order to think about how it's Spain. I was 2 months ago I remember in Poland, and it looked like we have like thousands and thousands and thousands of squatters here in Spain that they were like knocking the doors and entering in property without any consequences. That's obviously not correct. Obviously, normally the problems that are having on properties in Spain regarding these squatters is with empty properties. When I mean empty properties, is the properties which are not the permanent home and which are not holiday homes and which are not properties that you are renting, which is absolutely not. I mean, the problem is in order to put them out in like a short period of time is when the properties are like empty and we have like properties that are acquired by banks because the debtors do not pay, or because it was built and it was sold and it's absolutely empty and no one is living there, there's no rented at all, there's nothing to do, and there's some years they're absolutely empty. So that the problems are really main problems are on that kind of properties. Obviously, we have like in like many countries like different ways in order to put the squatters out of a property, which is a criminal issue. Obviously, someone enters in the property and say that I have a right to stay here. I want this is my house. Obviously, the police will be taking them out rapidly with the judge. Probably the police will do it rapidly, obviously with some declaration by some neighbors, or obviously some proof that obviously you say that that is your property. Rapidly, they will be taken out, or the judge will do it in a few hours. And there is a legend. Obviously, you probably Google and click on, and you have to do that in 48 hours. That's not correct. It is absolutely a legend. Obviously, if it's your property and you live in the property, or it's a holiday home property, or it's a property that you bought in Spain, for example, and you just come to Spain for holiday reasons or in summer times, obviously you report it in the police obviously goes to court. The police do it by themselves, and normally this proceeding is very rapid, in a few days sometimes, in a few hours sometimes. It's very rapid. Trespassing the property, obviously the property in Spain is I think it's secured. Obviously, I also see in the magazines, I also see in the TV some situations where, in my opinion, some of them we should see and take what is happening, what happened before all of that, which are really the facts on that. So this criminal point is really, let's say, aggressive or rapid or important to, and obviously we always recommend to do it rapidly, as soon as you can, as soon as you are able, so you understand, as soon as you are known that this is happening. And there is another issue, obviously, the civil situation, the civil proceedings, which is, we have a proceeding, we call it express, which is rapid. And it's going to depend on the courts. It has a very like preference on other files in order to do it rapidly. And obviously you have to show the proof that you own the property, and but it could take more than the criminal issue. Recommendations, obviously, rapidly to inform a lawyer in order to rapidly to make a denuncia, inform the court, inform the police. If you go to the police rapidly, you don't need a lawyer. You just report it, and you could be also represented by a prosecutor. In this case, if it goes to the court at the end. Normally, the squatters, like professional ones, because there are some of them that are professionals, they attach like a contract, which is a fake. They attach like an agreement with a real estate property agent, which is a fake. Obviously, they will report, and I mean, they are professionals. Obviously, as much as you prove, obviously, that is your property, that the neighbors, that they understand, they know that these squatters have entry in the property, and will be better in order to convince the police and convince, obviously, the judge to rapidly put them out. If you click on the link that I have put, obviously there are many issues that I get into that, and obviously there could take probably 1 or 2 webinars, and obviously it appears how long can this procedure take, and how do the police deal with the criminal trespassing, I mean the civil action to recover an illegally occupied home. What are the main features of this express procedure, which is the civil area, the civil actions that I'm talking about? But I would like to read a little bit about how to avoid squatting in your home. And this recommendation, obviously, I took it from recommendations by different companies, and normally there are insurance companies that obviously, well, they offer this house insurance. But it's something that I liked, and I included in this article. But let me read some of them. It says, obviously, if you rent it, and this is something that they recommend, if you rent it, obviously will not be occupied. The other thing is when you rent it, the same tenants, they occupy because the contract has finished, and well, that's another issue. And I was discussing with Ignacio, what happens is a vacational tourist contract, they stay there and they don't leave. Obviously, there are some proceedings in order to put them out, and rapidly in these cases. And I like about the neighbors. I mean, that just to connect with the neighbors will be able rapidly to tell you someone is occupying the property. So rapidly start with an action with your lawyer if you are not in this country, or with you if you are here personally. And okay, and well, what do they check? I mean, they check the squatter, they check the empty letterbox of the plans and what. I mean, correct. They can see that the property outside is like abandoned. It's not. The balcony or the terrace is not clean. And well, there are some situations where we recommend to avoid the squatters to check if the property is occupied, or if someone is living or not, or is not rented or not. But just click on this link, please. And obviously, someone has a question about this. But the main information that I would say is that Spain has a big rules on criminal issues and civil issues in order to put the squatters off of a property. And normally the main problems on these situations appears on empty houses. Okay.
Okay, Pedro, thank you very much. We're running out of time. I don't know if Maria wants to add anything here before you play a nice video. Obviously, feel free if you need to organize an appointment, send us your questions, and then we could organize a private video conference. I'm sure there will be a lot of topics. Probably you have questions about residency, tax residency, type of contracts, squatters, etc., etc. We always recommend you to, when you buy a property in Spain, to use an independent lawyer who will be able to inform you of every step of the law. I'm going to pass over to Juan for now to play a nice video. And Maria, I don't know if you want to say something else to clients who might be interested.
Yes, I would like to say that it's really not an easy decision to give the key to your property to someone. So it's very important. And you gain trust when actions meet words. So that's why we always say to our clients that we thank them for their trust. And it's very important to have providers in each. It doesn't matter if we talk about law, about real estate agency, about, you need to be informed before you take the decision to buy property. This is very important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you very much, Maria. Thank you, Pedro, for your time today. We will be seeing you back again in September after the summer break in the sunny Spain that is getting very hot. And I want to thank Pedro, Maria, and Juanfran for being there, Carmen and Guillermo. And I'm going to pass over to Juanfran. Happy summer, everyone. Over to you, Juanfran.
Bye.
The sun's going down as I try to make my way through the crowd. Feeling alive, I love being by your side, it makes me shine. We got one summer, so let's make it count. You make me feel like everything's alright. Let's dance our problems away in the night. Love being right next to you. You'll be on my mind, I'll be dreaming about this till the end of time. We are young, we are free, down for the ride. Might be over tomorrow, but we got to stay forever. Do you hear that sound? Can you feel the music? Let's get wild. We're magic, you and I. They call us reckless, but we don't mind. We got one summer, so let's make it count. You make me feel like everything's alright. Let's dance our problems away in the night. Love being right next to you. You'll be on my mind, I'll be dreaming about this till the end of time. We are young, we are free, down for the ride. Might be over tomorrow, but we got to stay forever. Yeah, we got the summer forever. If it's only for now, I don't mind, 'cause I know that your love is endless. If it's only for now, I don't mind, 'cause I know that your love is endless. It might be over tomorrow, but this day will live on forever. You'll be on my mind, I'll be dreaming about this till the end of time. We are young, we are free, down for the ride. Might be over tomorrow, but we got to stay forever. Live on
How to buy a house in Spain as a foreigner.
To buy a property in Spain in accordance with the legislation, the first step is to check the legal situation.
What taxes do foreigners pay in Spain?
In total, there are 5 Spanish taxes that every foreigner is obliged to pay. 1.
How are inheritances regulated in Spain?
Inheritance tax is a progressive tax.
Where to apply for the Golden Visa?
The first thing you should do is go to the Spanish consulate in the country where you live. There you can request all the necessary documentation to obtain it.